As we grow older, we often become more mindful of the relationships we maintain. In our younger years, it's easy to surround ourselves with a wide circle of friends and acquaintances. But as we age, peace and tranquility take on a new significance. The need for nurturing, respectful connections becomes far more important than the sheer number of people we know. Our homes and personal space become sacred havens, and the people we allow into our lives can either enrich or drain us. In this stage of life, it's essential to choose your neighbors and relatives wisely. Some relationships, whether near or distant, can disrupt your peace, add stress, or leave you emotionally drained. It's vital to recognize the signs and set healthy boundaries that protect your mental and emotional well-being. Today, we'll take a closer look at the types of neighbors and relatives that might not be the best for your peace of mind, and how you can maintain a serene, fulfilling life by choosing to distance yourself from the wrong influences. Before we dive in, if you're enjoying this content and want more helpful tips, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. 1. The self-serving neighbor. As we age, one of the most valuable resources we have is our time. Yet, there are always those who seem to view relationships primarily through the lens of what they can get out of them. The self-serving neighbor is often the first to knock on your door when they need something, whether it's asking you to look after their plants while they're on vacation, pick up their packages, or help with a household task. On the surface, they may seem friendly, even kind, but their interactions are frequently transactional rather than genuine. Over time, their requests become more frequent and their gratitude less visible, leaving you with a sense that the relationship is one-sided. For older adults, these kinds of relationships can be particularly draining. We often have fewer physical resources and emotional energy to give, yet the self-serving neighbor keeps asking, without offering anything in return. This imbalance can leave you feeling exhausted, both physically and emotionally. You might find yourself running errands for them, helping with tasks that are increasingly burdensome, only to realize that your own needs are being neglected. The toll this takes can be significant. Stress builds up, your personal space feels violated, and the feeling of being used can slowly eat away at your well-being. It's crucial to recognize these dynamics early on and take proactive steps to set boundaries. One of the best strategies is to be upfront about your availability. It's okay to say no, even if it feels uncomfortable. A simple, polite response like, "I'm sorry, I'm unable to help this time," sets a clear boundary. You don't owe anyone an elaborate explanation. Just a firm, respectful decline will suffice. If the neighbor continues to make requests, it may be time to distance yourself more consciously. Limit the amount of time you spend engaging with them, and don't hesitate to make your personal space a priority. Politely redirect conversations to more neutral topics, or end them if they begin to ask for favors. Over time, you may find that they stop taking advantage of your kindness once they see that your willingness to help is not limitless. Protecting your peace doesn't mean shutting people out completely. It simply means prioritizing your well-being and setting healthy boundaries to ensure that relationships are mutually supportive, not draining. 2. The disruptive neighbor. A peaceful home is one of life's greatest treasures, especially as we grow older. It's where we retreat to rest, rejuvenate, and find solace. But sometimes, a disruptive neighbor can make that retreat feel impossible. Whether it's loud music late at night, constant parties, or neglecting shared spaces, these disruptions can interfere with the serenity of our homes and impact our mental and physical health. For older adults whose physical resilience may be lower and whose need for quiet rest is greater, the stress caused by a disruptive neighbor can feel overwhelming. Noise disturbances, in particular, can be particularly harmful. The constant thumping bass of music, late-night conversations, or shouting can disturb your sleep, which in turn affects your health, mood, and overall quality of life. The lack of rest over time can lead to anxiety, irritability, and even physical ailments such as headaches and high blood pressure. When your peace is constantly interrupted, it can feel as though your safe haven is no longer secure. Neglecting communal spaces is another form of disruption. A neighbor who leaves trash in shared areas, allows their yard to fall into disrepair, or parks in spaces reserved for others can create unnecessary tension and stress within a community. It's frustrating to live in an environment where basic respect for shared spaces is lacking. For seniors who may rely on these spaces for social interaction or simple routines, these disruptions can feel especially frustrating. Addressing these disruptive behaviors diplomatically is key. It's important to approach the situation calmly, focusing on how their actions are impacting your well-being, rather than accusing them of intentional wrongdoing. A polite, non-confrontational conversation can be an effective first step. For example, saying, "I've noticed that the noise at night makes it difficult for me to sleep," or, "The communal areas have been a little cluttered recently. I was hoping we could all work together to keep them tidy," opens the door for cooperation without escalating the situation. If diplomacy doesn't work, it may be necessary to involve community resources, such as a neighborhood association or property manager, to address the issue more formally. Sometimes, neighbors may not be aware of how their behavior affects others, and a little nudge in the right direction can help restore harmony. In the meantime, there are ways to mitigate the impact of disruptive neighbors. Soundproofing your home, creating a peaceful sanctuary with calming colors and furnishings, or using noise-canceling devices can help reduce the noise and give you some control over your environment. You can also consider spending more time in quiet spaces outside your home, like parks or libraries, to ensure that the disruptions don't completely drain your peace. Remember, your home is your sanctuary, and it's worth putting in the effort to preserve it as a space of comfort, no matter what challenges a disruptive neighbor may bring. 3. The intrusive gossip. As we age, our desire for privacy and personal space often becomes more pronounced. We've spent a lifetime building relationships and creating memories, and now, more than ever, we cherish the tranquility that comes from a quiet, private life. However, there are always neighbors who seem to ignore this need for solitude. The intrusive gossip is one such individual, constantly prying into your life with excessive curiosity, asking personal questions that cross boundaries, and spreading what they learn to others. At first, their questions might seem innocent, but over time, you begin to feel as though nothing in your life is truly private. For older adults, privacy is not just a preference. It's a necessity for maintaining emotional well-being. The constant invasion of personal matters can take a heavy emotional toll. Questions about your health, finances, family, or even your routines can feel overwhelming, especially when they come from someone who seems to have no regard for what you consider off-limits. As these details begin to spread through the neighborhood, it can feel as though you've lost control of your own story. And this loss of control can lead to anxiety, frustration, and even a sense of isolation. The emotional weight of an intrusive neighbor can be particularly heavy for older adults, who may already feel vulnerable due to health issues or the loss of loved ones. The fear of being judged or having personal information misinterpreted can increase feelings of insecurity. Moreover, once a neighbor begins gossiping, it can become difficult to rebuild trust, and the impact on your sense of safety and privacy in your own home can be significant. So, how can you set boundaries with an intrusive gossip without causing unnecessary conflict? First and foremost, it's important to be clear about what is and isn't acceptable. Politely but firmly establish limits on the type of information you're willing to share. You don't need to explain why you don't want to discuss certain topics. Simply saying, "I prefer not to talk about that," or "I'd rather keep that private," is enough. It's crucial to remain consistent in your responses. The more you allow personal matters to be discussed, the more likely the neighbor will feel entitled to ask. Additionally, you can take steps to manage the frequency and nature of interactions. If the neighbor tends to drop by uninvited or linger for long conversations, gently let them know that you value your privacy and need time to yourself. Over time, they'll begin to understand that their curiosity is unwelcome. In the end, protecting your privacy doesn't mean severing ties with your neighbors completely. It simply means creating a healthy distance, one where your boundaries are respected and your peace is maintained. 4. The borrower who doesn't repay. When it comes to family, many of us are quick to offer help when a loved one is in need, especially when it comes to financial support. However, there are times when a family member may borrow money without any intention of repaying it, or worse, without showing gratitude for the assistance provided. This can be a tricky and emotionally taxing situation, particularly for older adults who may be on a fixed income or who are managing retirement savings. Lending money to family members is often seen as a gesture of love and support. But when repayment is not forthcoming, it can strain both the relationship and your financial security. For seniors, financial stability is especially important. With limited income, many older adults rely on pensions, savings, or Social Security benefits to cover their living expenses. Lending money to a family member who doesn't repay can lead to unforeseen financial stress, disrupting plans for health care, bills, or even basic living expenses. The anxiety that arises from wondering if you'll have enough money to meet your needs can take a toll on your mental and physical well-being. Additionally, the emotional strain can be significant. Not only are you left feeling betrayed, but you may also feel guilty for not being able to help more in the future, perpetuating an unhealthy cycle. The key to managing this situation is setting clear and firm financial boundaries with family members. First and foremost, it's important to recognize that you are under no obligation to lend money, no matter how close the relationship. When a request for money arises, consider whether lending is truly in your best interest and if it aligns with your financial goals. If you do choose to lend money, it's crucial to set clear expectations and terms up front. Treat the transaction as a business agreement. Outline the amount, the repayment schedule, and any conditions in writing if necessary. This can help prevent misunderstandings and provide both parties with a clear understanding of their obligations. It's important to approach these conversations with empathy, but also with a firm stance. Don't be afraid to say no if you're not comfortable lending money, or if it could put your financial well-being at risk. You can also consider offering help in ways other than lending money, such as assisting them in finding community resources or helping with budgeting. These alternatives can allow you to provide support without compromising your own financial security. By setting boundaries and communicating openly, you can protect both your finances and your relationships with family members, ensuring that assistance remains a source of love and not a cause for stress. 5. The self-absorbed relative. Family relationships are meant to be a source of love, support, and mutual care. However, there are times when certain relatives become more focused on their own needs and desires, leaving little room for the emotional needs of others. The self-absorbed relative often only reaches out when they require something, whether it's emotional support, financial help, or simply someone to listen to their problems. They may dominate conversations with their own struggles, rarely asking how you're doing or offering any support in return. Over time, this one-sided relationship can become emotionally draining, especially for older adults who may already be dealing with their own challenges. The impact of these relationships on mental health can be significant. Constantly giving without receiving can leave you feeling depleted, anxious, and even resentful. When your needs are ignored in favor of someone else's, it can lead to feelings of isolation and frustration. The lack of reciprocal care makes it difficult to feel valued, and over time, the emotional toll can wear you down. This dynamic can even affect your physical health, as stress and emotional fatigue often manifest in physical ways, such as sleep disturbances, headaches, or increased blood pressure. The key to managing relationships with self-absorbed relatives is setting clear boundaries and ensuring that the relationship remains balanced. It's important to recognize that it's okay to prioritize your own needs and to say no when you're being stretched too thin. If a relative frequently asks for help without offering support in return, you need to communicate that your time and emotional energy are finite. A gentle but firm response, such as, "I'm unable to offer assistance at this time," can establish boundaries without causing offense. Additionally, it's crucial to find a way to focus on mutual care in these relationships. Let them know that healthy relationships require give and take, and it's important for both parties to support each other. Encourage open communication, but also be clear about your limitations. If the relative is unwilling to make changes or recognize their impact on you, it may be necessary to distance yourself emotionally, focusing on relationships that provide the balance and support you need. By setting boundaries and prioritizing your own well-being, you can protect yourself from the emotional drain of a self-absorbed relative while still maintaining love and respect for them. 6. The lazy, independent relative. Family is meant to be a support system, but there are times when certain relatives take advantage of that support, relying on others indefinitely rather than striving for independence. These relatives may constantly lean on family members for financial help, a place to stay, or assistance with daily tasks, without ever taking steps to become self-sufficient. While it's natural to help loved ones in times of need, when this becomes a recurring pattern, it can disrupt the peace and stability of older adults, especially those who have planned for a quiet, well-deserved retirement. For seniors who have spent their lives working, saving, and planning for a peaceful retirement, the presence of a lazy, dependent relative can throw off carefully made plans. The constant financial, emotional, or physical drain from supporting someone who refuses to take responsibility for themselves can lead to stress, frustration, and resentment. Rather than enjoying the fruits of their labor, these older adults find themselves burdened with the responsibilities of another's life, undermining their ability to rest and enjoy the calm they've worked so hard to achieve. The key to managing these situations is encouraging self-reliance while offering support in a healthy, non-enabling way. First, it's important to have open, honest conversations with the relative about their dependence and how it affects you. Let them know that while you're willing to help in times of genuine need, you also expect them to take responsibility for their own circumstances. Establishing clear boundaries around financial or emotional support is crucial, and it's essential to make it clear that this support is temporary. Offer guidance on how they can become more independent, such as helping them find job opportunities, suggesting community programs that may assist them, or providing advice on managing their finances. However, it's important not to take over their responsibilities or make their decisions for them. Enabling dependence only prolongs the situation and prevents them from growing and learning how to manage their own life. By encouraging self-reliance in this way, you help your relative build the confidence and skills they need to succeed on their own, while protecting your peace and allowing you to enjoy the retirement you deserve. Protecting your peace. As we navigate the later years of life, protecting our peace becomes more essential than ever. The relationships we maintain with neighbors and family members can either enhance our well-being or add unnecessary stress. By recognizing when a relationship is no longer healthy, whether it's with an intrusive neighbor or a dependent relative, and setting clear, respectful boundaries, we ensure that our peace of mind is preserved. It's okay to distance ourselves from those who drain our energy and focus on the relationships that nurture and support us. Remember, you have the right to prioritize your well-being, and sometimes that means making tough choices. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you had to set boundaries with someone in your life? Share your experience in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and don't forget to subscribe for more insightful content. Thank you for watching, and here's to a peaceful, fulfilling life.